I think we're gonna start to settle in and get started. Just to make sure, because again, I will never believe this many people come out for this panel. Everyone is here for the MCU insurance and the Blip panel, correct?
Yeah. Wait, I thought this was financial 101.
Out.
I thought this was the ham radio panel.
That's exactly what it is. If you don't
This isn't
enjoy
a dream
it, that's what this
interpretation
is.
panel?
I'm with him.
So, thank you for, probably starting out your mornings for many of you. We're gonna introduce ourselves. I'm gonna start down at the other end. Introduce yourself, a little bit about your Dragon Con experience, and also, if you do have any pertinent experience in what we're discussing, or you just have ideas, let us know.
My name is Paul Race. I am a retired physician. I am a lawyer. I have taught constitutional law for over 20 years. Pretty much what government can do and what they can't. And so that's why I'm here today.
Hey guys, my name is Michael Collins. I am a theory prognosticator and dad joke enthusiast for the Fandom Hybrid podcast. We do Marvel, fantasy, and con culture podcasts. I'm here because I am the least qualified person to be up here. And I love talking about the Blip and things of that nature.
What's up, guys? I'm Shady David Shadoin. I've been awake for a grand total of 20 minutes. And yes, I always look this bad. Anyway, I'm a helicopter pilot by trade. I write on the side, and typically I'm writing sci-fi, fantasy, you name it, they pay me to write it. On top of that, I'm here to be a thorn in Jeni's side while she moderates this panel.
2 years in a row.
So she has two of them.
Yeah.
Yep.
So my name is Brandy Blanton, and I'm only here so I don't get fined.
Thank
Thank
That
you.
got a better response than the sports panel did.
No one responded when I did that at sports panel. So anyway, if you don't know what I just referenced, it's okay. You don't know sports memes. They're not relevant today. My name is Brandy Blanton, like I said, and I have a master's degree in terrorism and political violence. I did my master's thesis on Star Wars and terrorism and kind of how we groups use pop culture to recruit. If you're like, that sounds fascinating, tell me more. It's on my website, which is literally just BlantonBrandy.com. Or if you Google Brandy Blanton Star Wars, it should also come up. I also worked emergency management and physical security for Bank of America Merrill Lynch for several years in their Security Operations and Analysis Command Center. Say that 17 times fast. And so I have real world experience dealing with disasters, which is very fascinating. Last year on this panel, I went on like a 7-minute diatribe on what the definition of terrorism was, because that's an exception to insurance. So we'll see if we get back there today.
And I am Jeni Green. I'm a volunteer on the track, long-time attendee. My background is that I am the insurance person on the panel. So I am a licensed insurance person in several states. I've been working in the industry for 15 years. I do currently specialize in commercial and business insurance, which really came in handy last year. So yeah, I am going to apologize. I'm pretty sure I gave myself a mild concussion this morning, so if at any point in time I sound a little crazy, that's what happened.
We got an ice bag.
Yeah. So let's start with just the fact that obviously we lost 50% of the people of the world when it blipped, right? So I think the interesting thing, someone in an elevator is the person I had this conversation. There we go. Okay. we were like standing in the lobby. So I think it's easy to assume or to expect that things like would divide equally. You think 50, your brain goes equally right away, just human nature. But I think it's easy to forget. I don't, it's not like Thanos went, okay, 50% of the people from Travelers get blipped. 50% of the people from Erie Insurance get blipped. So more than the money aspect of things, you have the actual just like manpower. Who the heck is going to handle everything when everything goes to crap? So I wanted to ask the panelists how you think the companies might deal with their staffing and their triage just as a basic starting point before they can even begin to help people?
Well, the first problem really is that we're going to lose more than 50%, because just statistically, you're going to have some plane pilots that probably get snapped. You're going to have people that were driving cars.
Discussion with someone too.
Like, all, you know, so statistically, we've probably lost, you know, I don't know, we'll say 55, 60. It may be higher than that. And there are definitely going to be some corporations have something called a business continuity department. And some of them are trained literally so like one thing that we did was we would send out like a text message, and it was like, are you okay? Do you need help? Like whatever. And to like really quickly assess big problems like that. But that's not something that, you know, your local insurance office is going to have. It might be something that, you know, I know that Bank of America had that. I know that some of the other big financial institutions have that, but I don't know if like, you know, Travelers or State Farm even have that to assess what employees are left.
Yeah, phone tree only works if someone's there to dial them.
Yeah, that also
in a
does that,
small
yeah.
office. Yeah, for sure.
I mean, you also have to factor in like people to, I mean, not only people to man the phones and do all this other stuff, but people to run it. I mean, this is basically going to be like people are going to get battlefield promotions that probably have no idea what they're doing. It's like there will be people who are like assistant heads of accounting that are going to be put into way higher positions that they're ill-equipped to man. And that's going to cause more bottlenecks, because if you have someone in charge that doesn't know what they're doing, all they're going to do is mess it up. And then next thing you know, your claim that's supposed to take 25 minutes takes 25 months. So it's like, you have to watch, think about that as well.
The snap would cause a systemic worldwide loss of, you know, yes, there are half the people that we have to feed, but there are a whole lot more people involved in trying to get food. So there will be a problem with pretty much every industry. There were countries that would not be able to function. You think about the United States, there are 340 million people in the United States. We just lost 170 million of them. And so most companies would not be able to plan for this in any way, shape, or form to meet the needs, because they would not be able to get access to I have no belief that our phone system, your cell phones, would continue to work for more than a day, if that. So, you know, food delivery systems, all of it would massively change. Right. So I'm not sure how companies would be able to handle that. If you've lost half your employees, you don't know who. Suppose the leadership, you lost most of the leadership.
Yeah.
So then who steps up? Then we get into the whole legal contracts that go along with it, and who actually, you know, who's responsible and everything else. And I assure you, insurance companies, she will tell you that they're not prepared to pay out. They specifically know, they may not know who's going to die, but they know how many would die at this point in time, and their rates reflect that. All of them at the same time, and everybody filing. They would not be able to do that. They would then go to whatever government is trying to operate and say, please, government,
We need a bailout.
we need a bailout, or just pass a law that says that you cannot sue or bring, you know, action for this, which is probably what would occur.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be the jerk on the panel and burst Jenny's bubble. The insurance companies are gonna fail completely.
Oh no, you're not missing my
They're
bubble.
they're not sticking around.
That's reality. I mean,
But also because they're gonna be the ones that, like, how do you prove your claim?
Yeah.
We're not gonna pay out. We have no proof that this person has been blipped. They could have just walked away, and they could be in hiding somewhere.
Yeah,
They will eventually just fall through and not exist anymore. The immediate triage is, how do we save ourselves and save our job? The aftermath is, turns out we just went through a system reset, and insurance is one of those things we don't actually need.
woo.
Yeah, can you bring the person's ashes to me so we can verify that that's this person?
Yeah, we're gonna need DNA.
So, like, do we think they even issued death certificates for these? Because they didn't know what happened to these people. Like,
Isn't it a 7-year?
I would say my
Yeah,
thought
it
would be
is.
you'd have to go through that whole process where you'd have to wait the period of time to get
Yeah.
the death in absentia or whatever.
Government, look, we will have some sort of government in the United States, at least.
Yeah.
And they would actually step in and make their own rules to cover that. remember, we are in the MCU, so we would still have superheroes that are out there that would then be able to, okay, guys, this is what happened.
Right.
And
We were there.
so, yeah, the net would step in and at least say, but there will be probably 2% on the dollar that they would give out for people.
So what I'm going to warn you with this panel, I probably shouldn't have said this straight up front. This one is one where everybody wants to participate, and we want you to participate. Just throw your hands up, and we'll get around. This is definitely going to be heavy. You guys throwing thoughts, asking questions. I just wanted a place to like kick it off.
Before you get to somebody in the audience,
Yeah.
Paul pointed out one real interesting fact, right? He said the government, the U.S. government specifically, will still exist. Captain America is the difference between the Avengers, MCU, and America still existing and Mad Max.
All right. I think you were the first hand I saw.
Sure, because me and Kim were working this.
Yeah.
Hurricane
Yeah.
Katrina, 20 years and 2 days ago. We lost 1,700, 1,500 in New Orleans and 200 in Mississippi. And the wars for the insurance claims with Richard Scruggs and so forth were legendary. Nationwide versus Leonard and some of those others. So I mean, now multiply that times 1 million,
Yeah.
you know, 100,000 times in terms of number of lost population. I agree. I'm not sure that would just push insurance right over the edge.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And we talked about this last year, like the example of 9/11.
And what came out of
what
it. I think
came out of
you guys,
11.
you were here last year.
Yeah.
You guys were involved in that conversation.
Yeah.
It starts, people who, it starts to stick in my head. Yeah, I mean, the number of laws that were passed. I mean, after Katrina, after every big disaster that happens, laws, insurance unfortunately is not very, it's not a foresight. It's always after something happens that insurance goes, oh crap, that screwed us. We better fix it so it doesn't screw us again. But it kind of does find a way to, I don't want to say like keep screwing us. As an insurance person, listen, I do not always defend the insurance industry, but I mean, just Sandy, I mean, on the East Coast, I live in Eastern Pennsylvania, so I don't live in a coastal area, but we experienced a ton. I'm sure there are some of you who were in areas that you wouldn't have thought, and there's all sorts of stuff like that where the insurance companies kind of go, I don't know what to do. The pandemic was huge, and it was insurance companies. I mean, we're still in the thick of people suing over stuff happening in the pandemic when it comes to insurance, especially in business insurance, where they're like, we're not going to pay you loss of use. This doesn't fall under loss of use and things like that. So there's always a lot of regulation. I'm sure our resident lawyer can speak to that. A lot of regulation that comes out after the fact in insurance, which
Unfortunately, law follows problems.
Right.
It doesn't predate problems. So, I mean, I'm from Louisiana, so during Katrina, there were major things that they just never even considered. Just fact, I would say one, law students who had spent all their summer taking the bar, then all of their bars were lost.
no.
And they made them retake it.
No! I'd been like, you get a bar, you get a bar, you get a bar. I'd have been over handing out the bar admittances.
I just want to point out that all of you thought that was worse than the actual blip itself.
I took the bar exam. It was.
It was faster.
I can't even imagine. All right, my elevator friend.
Just keep your hand up so that they remember that your hand's
We're
up.
thinking about this in terms of how we view the world now, as opposed to how policies and stuff would be written if we were all born into the MCU with claims for Superman breaking your car window out written into your policy.
Oh yeah, that was heavy last
That was
year.
So also, if you're like, this is fascinating, if you search superheroes and insurance DragonCon, it is posted on YouTube,
Yes,
so you can listen to
you were here last year. It does exist online.
It is online.
It definitely, in a world like with that kind of stuff, absolutely, there would be more regulations that would already have been written into policies as time went on, for sure, with that kind of stuff. I mean, the blip itself would just be such a uniquely qualified, like a unique event at the time that I don't think there's an insurance policy that could have possibly accounted for that.
Unless we call Thanos a terrorist, and it's now terrorist.
Why did you have to go there so early?
Because that's my job.
Even if there was an insurance company that had the foresight to actually write this into policy, do you think that's a good person? Do you think it's going to be positive towards you, or is it going to be negative against you?
Any exclusion is not meant to help you.
Because,
Exclusions are not there to help you.
Right, exactly. They're like, well, if so many percentage of people disappeared, then we're not liable. Sorry.
All right.
And write it in really small fine print in the bottom left-hand corner of your policy.
I apologize. I'm going to try my best to get around to people in the order that I see them. If it's not perfect, it's the egg on my head. Blue Blazer right here.
So after the Battle of New York, I would expect the insurance companies to immediately start writing things in, not just for invasion, which we currently have in our real world exclusions, but also alien invasion, right?
Oh.
Right. Right now there are exclusions in loss. We have loss exclusions for incidents to invasion. Right?
Yeah, war, government. Yeah.
Right. So if they just add the word alien to it, since we've already had an alien invasion that happened on camera, everybody knows this happened in the Battle of New York, and call it 2012, depending on which screen you're looking at. By the time we get to the Blip, Thanos is just another alien invading, right? So I would expect that the policies would just say we already have exclusions for alien invasions.
Extraterrestrial exclusions.
I think this is also the difference between. It could potentially be the difference in the types of insurances we're discussing.
Yeah, right.
So your differences between your property and casualty, your life, your medical, your health, all that accident, all that kind of stuff. So I
usually
think
don't have like a dental exclusion.
right. but I think even in life insurance. So if you pop over to life insurance, you don't have like a war exclusion in life insurance. Because we unfortunately have plenty of people that go to war and don't come home and their life insurances get paid. So you're still gonna have insurance companies who are going to, in theory, be on the hook for a lot of money.
There's an interesting thought here, because there is a very real world example of kind of what you're talking about, and it's Tokyo, Japan. Tokyo gets hit several times a year by typhoons. Right. In fact, while I was living there 3 years ago, they got hit by a typhoon. A tornado hit Chiba, and then immediately got hit by another typhoon. Like, the area got devastated. So it bears to mention, if you're going over top of Tokyo, on top of every building, you will see little helicopter pads that are labeled with an R, and those are essentially insurance bought helicopter pads, because they don't have flood insurance unless you have one of those pads for businesses on top of those buildings. And you'll fly over like elementary schools that have painted those on top of some of their schools, and they are rated for a one-time use emergency evacuation. And that's what so like it's funny that you brought up, like, yeah, they're gonna start coming up, like New York is getting smashed over and over and over by all of these aliens. Like, they're gonna have to come up with something like that system, where it's like, I'm gonna pay this, or I will only give this business insurance if it has this kind of like structural implementations to protect from potential aliens trying to destroy it again, or the Avengers coming through and using their building for their mega fights.
What would happen is the same thing that happens with flooding that happened in Louisiana and Florida and Texas, that insurance companies are just going to move out of that area of insurance, and the government's going to have to step in and say, we will do it. Or if it's, say, California, where insurance rates went up about 30 years ago, and then insurance companies threatened to leave, we're going to leave if you don't do this, because I forgot what crop they passed. And California's big enough to say, leave if you want. You know, and if you left and immediately came back, you know, because money is money.
You saw a lot of that. Was it, I guess, last year with the really bad wildfires in California?
Yeah.
And everybody being like, "Oh, the companies pulled out." As it was like, first of all, not to defend the insurance companies, they don't just pull out and give you like 12 hours notice. Right. They are legally required to give you a certain period of time before they cancel your policy. You just, and I will say, in certain instances, you did not have the means to replace that policy, because those policies can be incredibly expensive to replace when a company pulls out, because it means the premiums are so high. But yeah, companies absolutely in risky areas. The Avengers just need to move to like a cornfield in the Midwest where like being doesn't hurt people. Like that would be the smartest thing that they could do. Exactly. See, Superman had the right idea. All right. So hands. I'm gonna try to like point out in order here real quick. So I'm gonna go red shirt, cap, tan shirt. We'll do those 3 to start here.
So I think something, like alien invasion for the most part, that, Avengers 1 happened in the day that goes over. Something like the Blip is so different and so the effects last so much longer. I feel like a lot of this depends on people going to work. If the Blip happens, it feels like the end of the world. I'm not going to work. Even if I wanted to have the money to pay me, no, other banks still working, what's working, can you get that money to those employees who need it? Also, like, I'm not gonna, and so maybe eventually that'll fix itself, but that's more time that it'll take to figure that out and then figure out, the insurance. But I feel like, something like the Blip that's so extreme, that the effects are gonna be bigger because, if things aren't working normally, then you're not gonna, personally, I'm not gonna go to work.
Remember, after the snap, we have an idea of what happened. There was a significant rise of crime. There was, there was a whole reason why, who became a vigilante. And so there was this whole massive issue. So things were stolen, things were taken. The ownership issue becomes, a big thing. I still wonder, because between the, from the snap, it may take 5 years to get some sort of norm. And then we have the second problem.
Everybody comes back.
Everybody comes back. Who owns what?
Does water rights still exist?
Like, there was a very famous case of stolen art that was, from World War II. We discovered in the 1980s, and they fought for 20 years as who owned that art. All right, and now you take the Blip where they come back, and the things are insured. They're things that are, covered, but who actually owns it and who has to pay.
So, talking about people going away and coming back kind of pushes us into the idea of life insurance.
Yes.
So let's say we're past the point of I'm going to call it panic, because I think that's what you would have. You'd have people panicking. People would be concerned about me first, and then I think things would start to settle down. They'd have to, in theory. We see that life does settle down. We do see that life settles down after the initial craze of the Blip. People do start going back to work, trying to move the world forward. So let's say we get back there, and then people start filing their life insurance claims. And let's say in a perfect world, there's enough money to pay these life insurance claims. What happens when all of the people come back? Because, again, in theory, the insurance company's going to want their money back at that point.
Well, I also think there's no way that, let's say they did pay them out, some of those companies have gone under.
Oh, 100%.
So is it like, Jeni owes her money because her company still exists, but I don't owe my money because mine's going under?
You'd have the situation where you'd owe the government, because the government could end up having to bail out the insurance companies. Now it's likely that they're not going to go, this wasn't fraud. They're not coming after you for fraud, but they are going to want their money back. But how are people going, that money's probably it depends how much you have.
I don't think there's an exclusion clause in the life insurance.
There are, but
for
not
coming back to life.
But I would say not.
Yeah, I don't think there's a coming back to life exclusion
Time
clause.
to check Google.
Life insurance, absolutely. Absolutely. If you are not dead, that money's they're gonna want that money back.
So this kind of goes back to the comment that I made earlier, that because I'm pretty sure there is an actual case for this, and Paul, you're gonna have to back me up if I don't remember this right. Somebody died for like 5 to 10 minutes.
The convict.
Yes, and they claimed the life insurance. and they provably, right, because he was a convict, they had provably certified him dead.
Oh, also he had served his life sentence.
He'd served his life sentence.
So they had to let him go.
And so when he revived, they released him from his life sentence, right? Life insurance. Oh no.
No,
I am not making that up.
I forgot about this.
Yes.
But it's
Life
still not going to
insurance.
get you out of the insurance companies wanting their money back.
Now the insurance companies might want their money back, but they immediately started looking, and I remember they started looking at different things. I'm pretty sure life insurance was one of them. There is no exclusion clause for being certifiably dead and coming back to life.
I think
No, this is where the
that's what I'm
blip.
going to get in. Is where I'm going to get. I think you're going to argue that they weren't dead.
That's where the blip is. That's where the blip gets
Because
interesting.
in
'cause
order
you can't
to,
prove
I
it.
mean, that's where I honestly, and I'm going to argue that the insurance companies are going to argue they weren't dead. This, I mean, it's going to get litigated to high hell. We know it. Pardon language. No, language is going to happen. It's going to get litigated to high hell.
It's not going to get litigated.
No?
No, because there's a little secret that most people don't, that we keep quiet, that the government can interfere with any existing country.
I mean, that's true.
Right, so the government will come in and say, no, we will do that. Hey, they will say this is declared dead, you're not entitled to get the money back. That's probably what's going to happen. I cannot see.
And do you think that that would be the way it would go because
Yes.
the government likely stepped in and already
Yes.
backed the companies?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes,
that
I
makes
do.
sense. I mean, if we're talking about the companies
They've already got the
getting
bailout.
back.
They haven't got no- they haven't
Lobbyists.
got no-
Does anybody live in Michigan? Do I see one hand, two hand? Oh, what? Do I see someone who lives in Michigan? Okay. The only reason I bring this up is because it's the most clear case of government-backed insurance that exists. You know that lovely surcharge you pay on every car you own? Yeah, it's like up to like $240 or something a year, I think. It's because in Michigan, on an automobile insurance policy, there is no limit to how much the insurance company has to pay if you're injured. And what happens is Michigan has a guarantee association, or a guarantee fund, the government does. And every single car you own and insure in Michigan, every car, not every policy, you pay this wild fee that goes to the state government, so that if you get hurt to like the tune of like $10 million, your insurance company still has to pay it. So when it comes to insurance, the government backing insurance companies, it is very much a thing that happens. This one's like, that's just a state example though, so it does happen. I know. Thank you, Michigan person, for helping me out.
I also did not find anything online about a exclusion for being brought back to life.
I can promise you there are plenty of instances where someone is declared dead for whatever reason, and they come back to life, and the insurance company goes, "Now you owe us the money back."
But yeah, who owes the money back? The person that collected
The
on it?
beneficiary.
The beneficiary. So I get snapped, and you collect my life insurance, and you
Yes.
spend that money,
Correct.
and then I come back, and I owe that money back, not you.
No, the beneficiary would be responsible for the repayment.
Okay,
I'm
so
the
that's me not
beneficiary.
understanding what the word beneficiary is.
So Brandy and I are married because we're at Dragon Con and that happens. I die, and so on a life insurance policy, I name my beneficiary. I name the person who gets the proceeds of the life insurance. You're my beneficiary. So you would get paid out when I die.
Yes.
So then you would owe the money back.
Okay, awesome. Thank you.
Unless you could prove my death was fraud, then I might be on the hook for it.
Our marriage is over. It wasn't the Phillies or the Braves that brought it down. It was insurance fraud.
Okay.
In 5 years.
You were next.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
I'm sorry. We're gonna bounce around a little bit.
So since you brought up the idea of the blip and like how insurance companies are going to struggle to see who survived and who didn't, do you think at some point, do you think given the assessment, these companies will be like, you know what? Since we have like let's say for example, 50-50, we have like our best employees and our worst employees. Do you think the companies will like decide for themselves like, hey, we can't do all this all by ourselves. We should like work together.
Mergers.
We should merge. We should all just kind of make one temporary merge to kind of like compensate for the loss of manpower. Or do you think some companies will be like, nah, we're good. Well, we can do this on our own. We'll just hire some more people and just figure it out from there.
What do you guys think? What do my insurance guys think? Because it's tricky.
Well, oh gosh. I mean, think of, so as I was thinking about this before coming in, you've got a life insurance. Let's focus on life insurance. I think you're going to have You're going to have 6 times, 100 times as many claims in a month, 2-month time period than you're used to, with less than half probably of your staff.
No.
So I mean, you're never going to get through it all. You're either going to see companies using large TPAs to come in, and they're going to be providing these services to everybody as fast as possible. And the government's going to have to be part of this.
So for anyone who doesn't know, there are companies out there that like work with insurance companies to like deal with claims and stuff like that. Not all claims handling is handled inside the insurance company. There are outside companies that do that. And I don't know why that hadn't been one of the first things on my mind, but you're absolutely gonna have to bring in help to get this all done if you don't already utilize that sort of a service.
That I do know. That's called a TPA, a third party administrator,
Yeah.
but I don't know what a beneficiary is.
So there's an interesting thing that happens, especially in America, when you are lacking the resources or when you see a need that is not fulfilled quite as necessary as it should be. And we see it right now in the airlines, and it's called monopolizing.
Yeah.
Now I don't know the insurance, the guys, all the peeps who work in insurance here are gonna know this better than me, but insurance, as far as I'm aware, is still a business, and it is still meant to make money.
Yes.
And you are going to see people capitalize on the fact that, oh look, there's this need that you can't fill. I'm gonna buy your company up, and now we can do it together. And you're gonna slowly see that decreasing amount. Like, yeah, we might start with the TPAs, but not everybody, it's not an equitable blip, right? Some of these companies are going to keep their higher ups and they're going to lose a bunch of their low level employees, and some of these companies are going to go the other way. So now you have the people who are not as good at playing that shell game, playing the business game, playing against the guys who have been doing it for years. And you are going to see essentially what happened between Continental and the whole United Alliance thing, where now it's just not an alliance, it's just United.
Yeah.
Right? So is 5 years fast enough right now, since we happen to know the end of the blip? Is 5 years fast enough for that to occur? Maybe, maybe not. Depends. But you are going to see a lot less insurance companies and really businesses overall. You're going to see a lot of monopolizing, a lot of merging, and then those things will not reappear.
Well, to that point, see, I do have a quick wonder, because insurance basically socializes their losses by reinsurance.
Yep.
And they capitalize their profits. And I'm just wondering, could that system even get past the SNAP?
The reinsurance system?
Yes, because I would think that the SNAP would still overwhelm even that system.
Even reinsurance?
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I mean,
That's right.
reinsurance is there for that, is there to try to back reasonable. I mean, when I say reasonable, they're looking for the most unreasonable of reasonable, but that's the entire. I mean, I have some accounts. I have some pretty big reinsured accounts, and I work on a fairly small scale right now, and I have some, that I think of what would happen if the blip happened with some of my customers. I'd be like, oh God, we'd lose a lot, quite frankly. I don't think reinsurance could survive. Tan shirt was next. Are you? Sorry, I don't know your name.
Okay,
Okay, cool.
I like the comment about the world would change after you start having supervillain related events, similar to the way I'm going to take it back to terrorism and some stuff. It sounds like I covered last year. The world changed after 9/11 too, and there's the context of what is the actual definition of terrorism, and there's a whole legal set around TRIA for determining what that is. Yeah, I know insurance a little bit. I'm going to throw an opinion, context, and then ask a question. I swear I'm going to get to it.
Go for it.
I think you would get something similar to TRIA out of even the first invasion of New York, where some government entity is going to decide what is an act of supervillainy or superhero-related action. Does insurance pay out? Most insurance policies are going to have exclusions against that sort of thing unless you pay extra premium for that coverage.
Yeah.
Or you get a special policy that exists now that also is still expensive that's outside TRIA because nothing's been declared an act of terrorism since 9/11.
We
So-
talked about the possibility of superheroes having to carry E&O last
Oh, yeah,
year.
liability.
That's we forgot about the TRIA part of it in terms of superheroes, but we talked about what superheroes or superhero E&O.
Yeah,
That's
so-
errors and omissions. It's professional liability. If you mess up in the course of doing your job.
So I'll get to my question now. So if you look at an event like the Boston bombing, where the average person would look at it and go, clearly an act of terrorism, the government decided not to declare it an act of terrorism because most of those small businesses impacted by the blast likely didn't carry TRIA coverage. So they essentially forced the insurance companies to pay out on those claims because it didn't meet the criteria of the exclusion. So the question is, say we have some superhero related coverage like that, and the government's got to decide, are we going to make the insurance, or this is probably going to apply to personalized insurance as well, like life insurance and everything else. Do we make the insurance companies pay out by declaring it, or sorry, let me back up. I'm sorry, I mixed myself up. Are we going to protect the individuals by not declaring it a superhero related event? Because they know most people probably aren't going to carry that coverage? Or are we going, and that's going to break the insurance companies and the insurance industry because there's not enough reserves to pay out those claims? Or do you go the other way and devastate the insurance companies to protect the people? Which way do you think they would go?
I don't know.
Sorry, long comment.
No, I like it. But what I'm going to say is keep in mind that not all, but many policies are written. So if you don't, a lot of people don't know, when you write insurance and in whatever state you are licensed to write as a company. I am Jeni Green Insurance and I want to write in Pennsylvania, New York, and New Jersey. I have to go to the insurance commission. You know this, I'm sure, but a lot of people don't. I have to go to the insurance commission of that state and say, here's how I want to do this. Here's my policy. Here's my exclusions. Here's how I want to run my business. Here's what I want to charge. The state says, great, absolutely, we love this. We're going to guarantee you. So what happens is if the blip happens, this is just my thought process, and then if you guys want to jump in, this is the insurance lady's thought process. If the blip happens and you do not make it an act of terror, you're automatically, the government's automatically going to have to step in because the state government is guaranteeing those insurance policies. Now you do have insurance policies for risks that fall out of being guaranteed. And when you accept one of those insurance policies, you sign off saying you understand that it is not backed. If that company goes bankrupt, you're SOL. But if you take a policy that's guaranteed, the government's, if they don't, they're gonna have to step in and guarantee those payouts. And I'm gonna say, that's probably a good example of property casualty. So your actual property, your liability, things like that. Anyone have thoughts?
Sure. No, I would think the only thing that is occurring to me is, are we taking into account the human factor? Because there's some people that, even though they see all these people, everybody having issues and wanting to do claims, they're looking at it like, either we can't do it or I just don't want to do it. And it's like you have to take that into account because these are humans running the companies. So it's like they would say, okay, we can't really afford it, so we're just not going to do it. So just rest stamp everything, and we have to regroup.
I'm gonna bring in a really depressing real world example that you guys are gonna love. So after World War II, they wrote the UN Convention on Genocide and wrote all these things that constitute a genocide. And if the UN declares something, or a UN member who signed this document declares something a genocide, they have to step in. So the way we get around this is we declare acts of genocide. So I think this is going to be a similar, this is what I'm thinking about as we're having this situation. Acts of terror versus a terrorist attack. We're going to end up in that kind of situation. Because they argue when they wrote the UN Convention on Genocide, they wrote it so specific that they were trying to make sure that it really only you know, the Holocaust was really the only thing that could be counted. Historically, it happened up to that point. And so they put this document out, and it seems like, oh, we've done this great thing. We're going to keep this from happening ever again. But the way they wrote it, they intentionally wrote it to make sure they never had to do anything about it. So when we're talking about this, it just hit me that I feel like we'd end up going into, oh, this is an act of terrorism. It's not terrorism, so we're going to use that to get out of having to cover it.
Acts of terrorism, though, this is specifically how it's worded in a lot of insurance policies. Literally.
Oh, it is?
Yes.
Oh, all right.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah. I was like, so actually that might be worse. All right. Oh, Lord. Okay, so I'm going to go, my friend, green shirt, sorry, and then up here.
Jen,
And then
we're
I'm
talking
coming back,
about-
I promise.
We're talking about the government and what they're gonna do, but if I'm sitting on the Mississippi Gulf Coast after Katrina, that means every judge that I'm gonna have in state court lost their home. Because
It's
we
true.
can pull a federal judge in to hear insurance claims who lived in Tupelo, Mississippi, 270 miles away from the Gulf Coast. Every federal judge south of that lost their
Everything.
home or was damaged. So when that kind of a judge, all his friends have lost their homes and they're making insurance claims, and he's having to decide whether that policy coverage is there or not, they're bending over backwards
To get
if they
payment.
can to find
Yep.
coverage. Yeah.
It does, 100, yeah, absolutely.
I was gonna say, in running business, wouldn't everybody just say, look, there's no way we can do this? Tell you what we're gonna do. We're gonna file bankruptcy across the board. Put it in the courts. We won't be able to handle everything because half of them are gone, if not more. And then just wait it out. Probably by the time you finish getting through bankruptcy, like 7 years later, the blip for everybody to come back has already happened. It's like, oh, we don't have to do anything because everything's put back the way it was.
Possibly. And that could definitely happen.
The problem with that is that every company, after the snap, is going to have a problem with money flow. Absolutely everyone.
Right.
So everyone cannot go into bankruptcy. That just will not work. The courts would then say, okay, we'll set up a rule, which by the way they did for COVID, certain things in COVID. They set up these rules about what can and cannot. And there's no way they're just gonna let companies go, okay, we're gonna, wait this out.
They have an obligation to pay in in a timely manner. Now, timely manner is going to be a
Correct.
discussion, 100%. But it's not like we're going to figure out. They're going to figure out pretty quickly what happened. It's not like each death is going to have to be investigated individually. So they're going to figure out pretty quickly what happened, and so the government might step in and say, okay, this is what we consider timely payment, or this is the time frame we expect you. But they're not. I don't know that they're going to be able to wait it out 5 years.
No.
And I still think you're going to come back to the fact the insurance companies are going to have to get backed by the government. And again, it's because those policies are already naturally backed by the government, even without you realizing it. Who did I say was next? I'm so sorry, I forgot already. Yes.
Okay, so could we do this as companies band together? So honestly, we're in a world where we had aliens. So we could say they were abducted. We don't really know what happened. So honestly, we can't verify anything.
An abduction.
Because
I don't want that.
Right, well, we don't know. So that could be something that's a possibility.
No.
So we can't verify deaths. And we can band together and get scientists to say, like, what really happened. By the time that comes apart, they're back. So then we're like, where did they go?
But we have Captain America who says, no, they turn into dust.
I mean, yeah.
We got dust on the ground, right? That's who it is. I don't think that's will fly in the MCU at that point, that they are abducted, that they're not gone. The whole point was that they disappear. I can understand, but I just don't think that with the people that are left, that having an election is going to be a real problem, right? But their influence is not going to, because remember, they're the ones that are going to have influence. That they're going to allow it to say, okay, you got to prove that the person died, that disappeared, even though we got Captain America and other superheroes saying, no, they are gone.
Yeah.
But does he know, like,
But he can't vouch for everybody.
he can't verify.
No, but then you put
Right.
the burden on the company, not on the individual. you put the burden on the company to prove that it's fraud, as opposed to putting it on the beneficiary. That will shift.
Credibility, he's a criminal at that point in the MCU.
Oh, yeah.
Credibility is.
So then it was funny. I was like, I'm gonna retract something I said earlier. Where I said Captain America was the reason that we were the MCU versus Mad Max. It's actually Black Widow. Black Widow is the reason that we are not Mad Max at that point.
We would still have Warhammer too.
Yeah, right. But the thing that Paul was getting at, if you didn't quite catch it there, is because the government went back the insurance, but then also makes the declaration. Depending on how they make that declaration, instead of allowing the insurance companies to be on the front foot, they have put guys like Paul on the front foot. And now they have put Paul in front of a judge going, insurance companies, prove it wasn't because the people who backed you said it was.
Yeah, I think that happens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what if, and we haven't even really touched on fraud. I mean, what if we have people that just go around like with a jar of ashes to many companies being like, this is my dad, this is my grandmother, this is my son, this is my daughter, and trying to defraud companies out of whatever they can get.
I mean, you'd have to have the paperwork though. You'd have to. I mean, when if you're talking a life insurance policy, that stuff's pretty. You'd have to have the paperwork. You'd have to be able to prove who you are, that you're entitled to the money.
I mean, there are people that do that today. So.
There are. Yeah.
Fraud is fraud. We know it's fraud. With all the criminal enterprises, it will be fraud.
I'm gonna bounce to the back of the room. I'm gonna go red. My blonde friend over here. I'm gonna go gray cap, and then right here.
Stand at my wristband. So this is a 3-part scenario. Like, so I'm a pessimist, and you said, or you spoke of it earlier, people getting snaps in the worst positions. Like the pilot gets snapped, there's no pilot the plane's going down. You and your car get snapped, your passengers are crashing. The train gets snapped, the doctor gets snapped, the nurse holding your baby gets snapped. But then they all come back in the exact same position.
Oh!
Wait, they did.
I didn't think about that.
Guys.
Like you're gonna be, and then think of the children. The parents get snapped, the baby's like.
You just ruined my day.
When Hulk's move and someone else gets the house and someone who's not kind gets the house. And now you gotta go back and prove your kid's in there and they're saying the kid's not in there. Like these are all terrible.
I'm just thinking of the pilot falling from the sky at 30,000 feet.
Guys, no. Remember, the Hulk, when he snapped, did not bring them back to the same place. We know that because we know how certain of them came back to a certain place. Like when the Hulk did a snap, he made sure that they didn't go back to
No, because some of them did. Look at me.
Well, how did
Elena snapped back to where she was. MCU in the last continuity.
What have you done? All right. Too many people talking at once. Too many people talking at once. Let her finish.
Well, because Spider-Man and, they actually didn't end up in space. They came back.
Did you hit the last part of yours?
I'm sorry, Spider-Man bit. He was with Doctor Strange though. That's like my point. Like he had some magical that probably could have.
He did pop back in the planet.
Yeah, they came back.
Was strange. That's how they got back.
Little circles to come back. He was still in space, but even then, he had some magical abilities. The rest of the world, we're not. You don't have a scientist in the background or some magic to make sure she don't drop the baby or make sure she doesn't end up in like the wrong hospital. A lot of people are going to die because these people blipped, and now are we going to blame them since they're bad or what? Like,
Yeah.
your baby got brain damage, and the nurse did it to that. So is she going to get in trouble? Because they should work in. So say something.
How do you file for that?
Similar.
I don't know. I'm not even touching the poll. I don't know. Do you see the look on my face right now? I'm just like, I'm going to work on Tuesday and walking into my boss's office and being like, I quit.
I brought up the people getting snapped. Yeah, and then I hadn't honestly thought about what happens when they come back.
My blonde friend, I need you. Help me out here.
But it does go off when everyone got flipped in the chaos that caused. Don't you think the government would be much more worried about whatever money is left to pay off people, to worry about the physical things that are wrong, fixing people's cars, fixing people's businesses, fixing cars, whatever.
than life insurance. We're very concerned about the life insurance, and more, I'm more thinking about there's half the cars are now smashed into each other. You know,
Yeah.
a lot. Well, yeah, but there's
The world is
there's just a lot of physical damage, and life insurance. Yes, there's a lot of breadwinners. They're gone, but everybody's. There's probably no economy for a while. There's
I think we
there's
know
not
that
places to
there's-
spend money,
Yeah.
but we need things to work again, so do you
I don't know how
spend
you
money on that
triage it.
before you do life insurance was my question.
Well, it's kind of interesting. I was on a panel yesterday about Helene and kind of the rebuilding of what's happening there, and you kind of have that same. It's a different situation, but kind of the same about what do you prioritize.
Yeah.
And so I think it's interesting because depending on who you ask, you're going to have a different answer about what to prioritize. Because like if you don't take care of the people, there are no people to take care of. But at the same time, if you don't take care of things like roads, you can't get to the people. So yeah, it's a very fascinating. I'm really glad you brought that
The
up. It's
helicopter
such a
pilot disagrees.
fascinating. I have no idea. Well, when he wakes up, splashed to the side of a building, he can let us know.
No, it won't. But it's funny because there was something I've been thinking about kind of constantly for this panel, and I hadn't had a place to quite bring it up yet. But yeah, the idea that we've suddenly lost half the population, right, is a drastic catastrophe. The reason being is that how many people know right now that the U.S. is in a population decline, and economists are panicking.
Yep.
We are only losing 2 to 4% in the next 10 years, and they are in a panic about that. 50%. Catastrophic failure, right? So it's one of those things where I didn't want to start off with that because it's hard to I wanted to play the game and do the things, but the insurance companies, your financial institutions, everything that we know pretty much ceases to exist because it cannot be propped up by only 50% of the population.
Right. And you're going to see an absolute massive decrease in all of the organizations.
Oh yeah.
100. I'm like 100%. You definitely
And
will.
you go back to the basics of food, water, shelter, and that's where the focus is going to be, even with a government in place.
Yes.
So.
All right, my gray hat friend.
More like the postman.
All the way in the back, my gray hat friend. I think it's gray.
Yes, you with the tricep.
No, straight. No, hold on. No, it's straight ahead here.
Yeah, right here, straight in the back.
Yes, you.
Yeah.
Gray hat.
Yes.
Gray hat
Hands
friend.
up.
Real quick, going on to the food thing. Thanos snapped away half of all life, correct? And that's random.
Yes.
That includes livestock.
That's right.
It includes everything.
Farms.
Correct.
How does property?
I thought it was just like intelligent life.
Are you saying that animals aren't intelligent?
Well, I think there's a difference.
He said all life.
He said all life.
Is it all life?
Because remember in game,
You just added to ruining my life.
in game after Hulk snapped, they heard birds. So birds came back too. So
Wow.
Yeah. When the snap happens, there's silence.
Guys, it would massively affect every
Everything,
aspect of everything in
I mean,
food.
you see it in Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
Yes.
You actually, this Falcon and the Winter Soldier is the absolute best piece of media that the MCU gave us to tell us what happened during the blip or the after effects of the blip. We see money is an issue, medicine is an issue, food is an issue. So we know those things will happen. I don't know why that was not on my brain the whole time. Yeah, we know it will be.
The food chains, which would cause even more death.
I'm going straight right here to my friend on the aisle here. Yep.
We're talking about how much would there be an expectation of proof of death? What kind of fraud would you see? Because there definitely would be great. Maybe there were some leftovers. That was a whole new industry that popped up. It was people that would invest. Did this person actually disappear? And I think really cool example in after September 11th, this might have come up last year. they changed some of the laws in New York and New Jersey, like on a special case that like didn't require the same level of proof for or for person being missing for 7 years, and like provided that they provided flexibility on a lot of those laws because of that specific situation. Like there was a legal and economic, but also a cultural like reason for that exception to be made. And that brings up the other thing that I don't know if we've actually said out loud here, which is they had to do that in New York and New Jersey because generally speaking, insurance regulated at the state level. And you probably didn't have like those riders for like Superman falls on your house if you were a farmer in Kansas. Ironically.
No, but they have the Wizard of Oz clause.
So fair. And I think like not to I think it's we talked about like the government would need to step in, like there needs to be some massive reevaluation of the insurance industry. I don't know how reinsurance works in the life insurance space. But like I think that would be a huge factor in it, and I think there would have to be some sort of like 5 years in, yes, the entire universe looks different, but like specifically the insurance regulatory space and the life insurance industry probably looks really, really different.
Yeah. I mean, 100%.
There's no question about that. I just think that there's not going to be a bigger issue about the death certificates. There's much more will be a bigger issue about proving fraud on the part of the insurance company. And I know after Katrina, they changed the whole succession, temporary succession rules. You know, because so many people had not had wills after Katrina, that you had people that the law said you had to own the property, but technically since they hadn't done the succession, they didn't own the property. So they changed those laws specifically, you know, for that situation. And that would absolutely happen here.
I think we're probably gonna get one more question in here. We're gonna see how it goes here. Okay. Okay.
Okay, so mine was more back towards the second piece of the blip when people come back, right?
Okay.
We sort of talked about, you know, that's a big catastrophe on its own, because suddenly 50% of the world is back, right? Resetting to where they were previously, more or less. But what kind of losses do you think would spawn out of that, also in insurance of like?
Kind of losses or lawsuits?
Lawsuits, but also with insurance and also losses, like, all my property is gone, right? Or like
Gave it to someone else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm going to jump in really quick and suggest that that's the topic of next year's panel.
We might have to, because
we mostly covered people disappearing. To be honest.
I don't. My gut. I mean, just because your house was given to someone else, it's not gonna. That insurance isn't gonna step in on that. That's a civil situation. It's not an insurance situation.
I mean, given or taken.
Like if you're expecting
Whatever.
superheroes to be carrying like some sort of liability policy, right?
For what? What was that?
Like if you're expecting a superhero to carry some sort of liability policy, because in the MCU they are very corporate or part of government, right?
Do people sue
and the
Banner?
actions,
You sue Banner for bringing people back?
Well, incredible.
Because at that point in time, you're also talking about a good Samaritan situation.
What about lawsuits about, hey, my loved one came back, my other loved one died in the blip because the pilot slipped, and they didn't come back.
That's not.
I know, like that's not reasonable, but like would people be upset and like go after them for that?
No, I'm just thinking to myself. I don't think you'd have. I don't think there's a case there.
No.
It's not a case. But
You can sue someone for anything, but whether there's an actual case or not is what I'm getting at.
There
Paul
was
will make a case out
There
of
was
it.
a Doris Day James Garner movie where she was married to him. She disappeared. He got remarried, and then she came back. And when I'm looking back at it, I'm going, wait, what happened to the community property?
Oh yeah.
And, you know, who owns that property now? Did she lose all of those assets because he's now remarried? Is he still married? And that actually, in that old 1960s movie,
yeah,
the question was, is she still married to him? And what does that do to the new marriage? Yeah, those are things that all have to happen. That's what happens when you watch old movies.
I think we're gonna leave it with that question because I think it's something that could segue us into next year. Because I have a feeling something like this is coming up again next year.
But make sure you rate it in the app.
Hold on 1 second though, guys. Please make sure if nothing else, if you would spare $1 for our crazy insurance question here, we would love it. It is going to the National Association for Mental Illness, which Come on, we're at Dragon Con, guys. We're all in this together.
Look at this.
We're all crazy here.
She hit us with the hard apocalypse. Look at her.
Next year, though.
But I'm gonna have everybody introduce themselves. Let you guys know where you can find us outside of here, starting down at the end here.
Guys, I'm a professor of law at Southern University in Baton Rouge, so.
You are awesome.
Say
Thank
hello.
you.
You can find me at fandomhopper.com or wherever you find your podcasts.
Once again, I'm Shady David Shadoin. It's both a moniker and a descriptor. You can find me online. I'm the only one out there, and I also co-host a Worlds Asunder podcast with my wife, H.Y. Gregor. We'll both be back here on panels later today. So come up, say hi, and if you are interested in books of all kinds, come hit us up, and we got your hookup.
Hi, I'm Brandy. I'm also known as Madam Secretary General online. I am literally leaving from here to go across to the Hyatt, to the kids' track, where I will be talking about planning for disasters with children, and at one point in the panel we'll ask the children for suggestions, so who knows, they might also ask me about the snap. That's going to be fun. But yeah, and I also am on 2 other panels today, so if you've enjoyed listening to me make jokes, come on out.
And I am Jeni Green. You'll find me here volunteering for the rest of the weekend. I'll probably be in this room or that room. This is my last panel for the weekend, so thank you guys for making it amazing. You can find me online. I am on every social media as Jeni, Jeni, and Juice. Also, my female-focused sports podcast is called Off to the Bases. We enjoy sports for statistics and all that stuff, but we also enjoy going to the boy zoo. So we talk about all aspects of sports. Yeah, thank you guys so much. Rate it. If you enjoyed this, please give us a big thumbs up. If you didn't, this is the puppetry track. Leave us alone. If you want to solve baseball math for a ribbon and you haven't done it yet, I have baseball math ribbons if you can solve it. And also, if you want to see more women in sports, I have women in sports ribbons for you guys. Come on up.
Thank you, Jeni.
Thank you guys.